First Contact's Shadow. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the Terran Defense Station Archimedes, her weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as she watched Earth rotate below. 30 years of service had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now, every fiber of her being screamed that something was wrong with the silence of space. "Admiral, we're picking up unusual readings from the Kuiper Belt," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his holographic display casting a blue glow across the command center. "Energy signatures unlike anything in our database." Chen's fingers unconsciously traced the old bullet scar on her neck, a reminder of humanity's last great war, now 15 years past. "Show me." The main display lit up with a cascade of data streams, showing ripples in space-time that shouldn't exist. Before Chen could respond, proximity alerts blared across every deck of the station. They had appeared without warning. 3 vessels of impossible geometry, their hulls shifting like liquid mercury as they decelerated into high Earth orbit. First Contact had arrived with all the subtlety of a thunderclap. "All stations, battle positions," Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the historic moment. "But keep weapons powered down. Let's not start an interstellar incident." The alien vessels came to a stop 5,000 kilometers from the station. For 17 tense minutes, nothing happened. Then a transmission cut through every communication channels, simultaneously, translating itself in real time. "Greetings, children of Earth. We are representatives of the Galactic Conclave. We come to observe." Chen's response was diplomatic but firm. "We welcome peaceful contact, but I must ask, why now? Humanity has been broadcasting into space for over a century." The pause that followed felt heavy with unspoken truths. When the aliens responded, their words sent a chill through the command center. "We have always been watching. The question you should ask, Admiral Chen, is not why we reveal ourselves now, but why we have kept ourselves hidden for so long." The lead alien vessel projected a hologram into space, visible from both the station and Earth below. It showed humanity's history, not as humans had recorded it, but as seen through alien eyes. Wars and peace, destruction and creation, all accompanied by data streams showing something extraordinary. Humanity's rate of adaptation and technological advancement was accelerating far beyond normal evolutionary patterns. "Your species," the alien voice continued, "exhibits traits we have seen only once before in the galaxy's history. You adapt not just through generations, but within single lifetimes. You turn weapons into tools, soldiers into healers, and enemies into allies, sometimes within the span of days. This level of neural plasticity, combined with your species' capacity for both violence and cooperation, makes you unique." Chen watched the hologram, her tactical mind already processing the implications. "You've been containing us," she stated, not a question but a conclusion. "The mysterious failures of our deep space probes, the unexplained interference with our attempts at faster-than-light travel, that was your doing." "Yes." The alien response was immediate. "The last species that exhibited your traits, the Nemesis, nearly destroyed the galaxy in their drive to evolve and adapt. They saw all other life as either threats to eliminate or resources to consume. We had assumed your species would follow the same path. But we didn't," Chen replied, understanding dawning in her eyes. "No, you did something unprecedented. Your capacity for violence drove your evolution, but instead of becoming pure warriors, you developed something we had never seen. The ability to choose when not to fight, to channel aggressive capabilities into protection rather than destruction. It is fascinating." The command center had fallen silent, every human present understanding the weight of this moment. Humanity wasn't being judged for their capacity for violence. They were being studied for their capacity to transcend it. "The Conclave has reached a decision," the alien voice announced. "The quarantine around your solar system will be lifted, but gradually. We wish to understand how you achieved this balance. In return, we offer knowledge and partnership." Chen straightened her uniform, feeling the eyes of her crew upon her. This wasn't just first contact. It was validation of humanity's long, bloody climb from tribal warriors to something more complex, more nuanced. "On behalf of Earth, we accept," she responded. "But we have conditions of our own. We want to understand why you really kept us isolated. Not just your fear of another nemesis species, but everything you know about our evolution." The alien response carried what might have been amusement. "Your curiosity, even in this moment of revelation, proves our decision correct. Prepare yourself, Admiral Chen. The truth about humanity's path is far stranger than you imagine." As the sun rose over Earth's horizon, casting golden light across the station, Chen realized this wasn't just first contact. It was humanity's first step toward understanding their own nature, their own potential, and their unique place in a galaxy that had watched them with fear and fascination for longer than they had known. The real questions were just beginning. The price of progress. Dr. Maya Patel's hands trembled as she studied the alien data crystals. After 3 months of careful analysis in the United Earth Sciences Complex, the truth about humanity's evolutionary path had left her questioning everything she thought she knew about her species. "Play it again," she commanded the lab's eye. "Focus on the genetic markers from 30,000 years ago." The holographic display filled with spiraling DNA sequences, human DNA, but with patterns that shouldn't exist. Beside her, Caxorval, the conclave's chief xenobiologist, observed with all 4 of their eyes focused intently. "Your species was engineered," the alien scientist stated matter-of-factly. "Not by us, not by the nemesis, but by something far older. The real question is, why?" Maya's dark eyes narrowed as she manipulated the genetic display. "These modifications, they're not just about making us stronger or smarter. They're about adaptability itself. Someone wanted us to be able to change, to evolve rapidly in response to challenges." The lab's door slid open as Admiral Chen entered, her uniform now bearing the new insignia of Earth's representative to the conclave. "Tell me you found something that explains why we were quarantined." Maya gestured to the display. "We're not just quick learners, Sarah. Our entire species was designed to be able to fundamentally change our behavior patterns within a single generation. It's why we can go from mortal enemies to allies so quickly, why we can repurpose our most destructive innovations into tools of creation, and why the conclave feared us," Chen added, watching the genetic sequences dance in the air. "We're unpredictable." Caxorval's skin rippled with colors that the human translation software identified as concern. The nemesis were similarly engineered, but they became locked into a single pattern: constant aggression, constant consumption. "You humans, you retain the ability to choose your path." Alarms suddenly blared throughout the complex. Chen's comm unit lit up with urgent messages. "We've got a situation. Multiple conclave worlds just went dark. Something's coming." The main screen switched to tactical displays, showing a wave of unknown ships emerging from deep space, their design unlike anything in the conclave's database. As they watched, one of the vessels transformed, its entire structure rearranging itself to better combat the conclave's defensive fleet. By the first light, Sorval whispered, their skin now pale with horror. "The nemesis were not extinct as we believed. They were evolving." Maya's fingers flew over the controls, comparing the nemesis ship's adaptive capabilities with human genetic markers. "This is why we were engineered," she breathed. "Whoever modified humanity, they weren't creating weapons. They were creating an antidote." Chen watched as the tactical display showed more conclave worlds falling to the nemesis advance. "Explain." "The nemesis adapt through pure aggression, becoming perfect killing machines," Maya explained. "But humanity, we were engineered to be able to adapt in any direction. We can match their aggression if needed, but we can also do what they can't: change our entire strategy, cooperate, think laterally." "The quarantine," Sorval added, their voice heavy with revelation. "It wasn't just fear of your warrior nature. It was protection. The Conclave didn't understand your purpose, but they sensed your importance. You needed time to develop, to learn to control your adaptive abilities. Chen's tactical mind was already racing ahead. How long until the Nemesis reach Earth? At their current speed, 3 months, Maya answered. But there's something else. These readings suggest they're not just coming to conquer. They're coming specifically for us. Somehow, they know what we are. Of course they do, Chen replied grimly. We're their counterpoint. Their evolutionary opposite. Where they can only destroy and consume, we can create and cooperate. We're what they were supposed to become. The Complex's AI announced new tactical updates as more Conclave worlds fell. The Nemesis weren't just winning. They were adapting to every defensive strategy, every weapon, every tactic the Conclave deployed. We need to make a decision, Chen declared. The Conclave kept us isolated to protect us, but also because they feared what we might become. Now we have to decide. Do we hide behind our quarantine and hope the Nemesis pass us by? Or do we show the galaxy exactly what humanity was engineered to be? Maya studied the genetic displays one last time, seeing in them not just humanity's past, but their potential future. We don't just adapt to survive, Sarah. We adapt to protect. I think that's what our creators intended. Then we fight, Chen decided. But we do it our way. Not as simple warriors, but as something more complex. Something the Nemesis can't understand or predict. As alerts continued to sound throughout the complex, humanity faced its greatest test, not just of their strength or their technology, but of their very nature. The price of progress wasn't just in learning what they were, but in choosing what they would become. The galaxy was about to learn why humanity had been kept in isolation for so long. Not because they were dangerous, but because they weren't ready. Now, ready or not, their time had come. Guardians of the Void. The United Earth Defense Council chamber hummed with tension as holographic displays showed the Nemesis fleet's inexorable advance. 2 months had passed since their discovery, and 17 Conclave worlds had already fallen. Admiral Chen stood before the assembled leaders of humanity, her voice carrying across the chamber. The Nemesis adapt to defeat any single strategy, so we won't give them one strategy. We'll give them thousands. Behind her, Dr. Maya Patil activated a new display showing humanity's greatest strength, its diversity. Every culture, every military tradition, every fighting style we've ever developed. Maya explained, we're not just going to fight the Nemesis. We're going to overwhelm their ability to adapt. The plan was audacious. While the Conclave's unified approach had made them predictable to the Nemesis, humanity's fractured history had created countless different approaches to warfare, technology, and problem-solving. The Nemesis expect logic, expect progression, Chen continued. They'll face Mongolian cavalry tactics translated into space warfare, African ambush strategies applied to stellar phenomena, ancient Chinese military theories reimagined for quantum combat. General Ibrahim Rahman, commander of the newly formed Terran Defense Force, stepped forward. We've already begun retrofitting our ships. No 2 battle groups will use the same configuration or tactics. The Nemesis won't be facing one human military. They'll face thousands of years of human military evolution simultaneously. The council chamber's main screen shifted to show the first line of defense, a fleet of ships as diverse as humanity itself. Some were heavily armored behemoths based on ancient castle designs. Others were swift, solar-sailed vessels inspired by Polynesian wayfinders. Each incorporated technology in different, often contradictory ways. But the ships are just the beginning. Maya added, we've discovered something remarkable about our engineered adaptability. When we work together, it doesn't just add, it multiplies. She brought up new data showing how human neural patterns change during cooperation. Every time we face a challenge together, we don't just share solutions, we create entirely new ones. It's why we could go from first flight to landing on the moon in just 66 years. The Nemesis evolved through competition. We evolved through collaboration. The chamber erupted in discussion as representatives from Earth's nations debated the implications. Chen waited for the noise to settle before delivering the final part of the plan. The conclave feared us because we could be like the Nemesis, adaptive, aggressive, unstoppable. But we can be something they never imagined, adaptive and protective, aggressive in defense rather than conquest. She activated a final display showing Earth's newest innovation, the Guardian Protocol. It was a battle network that would link human ships and crews not to control them, but to amplify their creativity and adaptability. Every unique solution, every successful tactic will be instantly shared and reimagined across the fleet, Chen explained. While the Nemesis adapt to defeat each strategy, we'll be creating dozens of new ones. We're not just fighting their evolution, we're outpacing it. A conclave observer, attending virtually, spoke for the first time. This is unprecedented. You're proposing to turn your greatest weakness, your divided nature, into your strongest defense. Not just defense, General Raman corrected. When we drive back the Nemesis, humanity will take on a new role. We'll become guardians of the galaxy's diversity, protecting the right of all species to develop their own paths. The plan was approved unanimously. Within hours, Earth's shipyards began constructing vessels that reflected humanity's entire military history. Traditional rivals shared centuries-old military secrets, combining them in ways never before imagined. Maya found Chen on the observation deck later, watching the growing fleet. The Nemesis thought they were coming to eliminate a threat, Maya said. Instead, they're about to face something they've never seen before, an enemy that becomes stronger through diversity rather than uniformity. We're not just fighting for survival anymore, Chen replied, her eyes on the stars. We're fighting to prove that adaptation doesn't have to mean destruction. That strength can come from protection as much as aggression. As Earth's fleet grew, the Nemesis continued their advance, unaware that humanity had finally understood their true purpose. They weren't engineered to be warriors, but to be guardians, protectors of the very diversity the Nemesis sought to eliminate. The void between stars was about to witness something unprecedented, a species that had turned its own chaotic history into a weapon, not of destruction, but of preservation. The battle for the galaxy's future was about to begin, and humanity was ready to show why they had been kept in isolation for so long. Not because they were too dangerous to release, but because they needed time to understand their true purpose. The stars waited in silence for the clash that would determine not just humanity's fate, but the very nature of evolution itself. The breaking point. The battle began in the Proxima Centauri system, where humanity chose to make its stand. The Nemesis fleet emerged from hyperspace expecting to find a defensive line like the Conclave's, organized, predictable, vulnerable. Instead, they found chaos incarnate. From her command post aboard the TDF Prometheus, Admiral Chen watched as thousands of years of human military doctrine played out among the stars. Solar sails glinting like ancient Filipino warboats darted between Nemesis vessels. Heavy carriers, inspired by Roman phalanx formations, created impenetrable walls of fire. Ships using guerrilla warfare tactics borrowed from 100 Earth conflicts appeared and vanished in the debris fields. They're attempting to adapt, Maya reported from the tactical station, her eyes fixed on the neural interface, showing the Guardian Protocol's data stream. But they can't predict which strategy to counter. Every time they optimize against one approach, they become vulnerable to 3 others. The battle space became a testament to humanity's fractured evolution. Native American hit-and-run tactics translated into quantum warfare. African ambush strategies executed with gravimetric weapons. Chinese stratagems from the art of war played out with antimatter torpedoes. But the Nemesis were far from defeated. Their ships began to split and reform, trying to match humanity's diversity. That's when Chen gave the signal to implement Phase 2. Execute Protocol Babel, she ordered. Across the human fleet, crews began switching tactics mid-battle. Ships that had been fighting like ancient Greek triremes suddenly adopted Zulu pincer movements. Vessels using Persian cavalry strategies shifted to Napoleonic artillery formations. "It's working," General Rahman reported from his command ship. "The Nemesis adaptation algorithms are starting to break down. They can't evolve fast enough to counter strategies that keep changing." But victory came at a cost. The neural load of the Guardian Protocol was pushing human crews to their limits. Ships were lost, crews sacrificed themselves to protect others, and the void filled with the debris of both fleets. Then the Nemesis revealed their true horror. Their ships began absorbing the wreckage of fallen human vessels, learning from the very technology they destroyed. They were adapting not just to human tactics, but to humanity itself. "This is it," Maya announced, her voice tense. "The breaking point we predicted. They're trying to become us." Chen's eyes narrowed as she watched the Nemesis ships transform, incorporating human design elements. But they don't understand what really makes us human. Execute final protocol. Across the battlefield, human ships suddenly stopped fighting. In perfect synchronization, they began broadcasting on all frequencies, not tactical data or weapons fire, but culture, art, music, poetry, dance. The collected beauty of 10,000 years of human civilization. The Nemesis ships faltered, their adaptive algorithms unable to process this new input. They had evolved to counter aggression, to absorb and improve upon weapons and tactics, but they had never encountered a species that could turn creation itself into a weapon. "They can copy our ships, our weapons, our strategies," Maya explained, watching the Nemesis fleet's confusion. "But they can't copy our ability to find beauty in chaos, to create art from destruction, to love what we protect." The battle reached its crescendo as human ships began moving in patterns that seemed to make no tactical sense, until observers realized they were dancing. The entire fleet was performing a deadly ballet, each movement precisely calculated to exploit the Nemesis' inability to comprehend or adapt to creativity itself. "This is why we were engineered," Chen said softly, watching as the Nemesis fleet began to break apart, their ships unable to maintain cohesion in the face of something they couldn't understand or assimilate. Not just to fight, but to create. Not just to destroy, but to inspire. The Nemesis had evolved to be perfect warriors, but humanity had evolved to be something far more dangerous. Artists who could turn the battlefield itself into a canvas, warriors who could shift from violence to creation in an instant, protectors who found strength in the very diversity their enemies sought to eliminate. As the remaining Nemesis ships retreated, their adaptive algorithms shattered by an enemy they couldn't categorize or predict, humanity had proven something profound. The true power of their engineered adaptability wasn't in how well they could fight, but in how many different ways they could choose not to. The battle space cleared, littered with the remnants of both fleets, but now peaceful. In the aftermath, Chen received a transmission from the Conclave Council. "We understand now," the alien voice said. "Your isolation wasn't a punishment. It was preparation. The galaxy doesn't need more warriors. It needs guardians who understand that the greatest strength lies not in perfecting a single path, but in protecting the right of all paths to exist." As repair ships began their work, Shen looked out at the stars, seeing them not as a battlefield, but as a canvas awaiting humanity's next creation. The breaking point had come and gone, and humanity had proven itself not by breaking, but by transforming, just as they always had. The war wasn't over, but its nature had changed. The galaxy was about to learn that there were forces more powerful than evolution, more adaptive than aggression, more enduring than hatred, and humanity was their guardian. Evolution's children. 1 year after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Conclave held its first-ever joint session with humanity. The vast circular hall, designed to accommodate representatives from 1,000 worlds, now hosted something unprecedented: a celebration of failure. Admiral Chen, now Earth's ambassador to the Conclave, stood before the assembled representatives of the galaxy's civilizations. Behind her, a holographic display showed the transformed remains of a Nemesis vessel, Not destroyed, but changed. We didn't defeat the nemesis. Chen began, her voice carrying across the chamber. We taught them something they had forgotten. That true evolution isn't about becoming the perfect predator, but about becoming something more than what you were designed to be. Dr. Maya Patel stepped forward, accompanied by a tall, crystalline figure that moved with liquid grace. A nemesis, but unlike any the galaxy had seen before. The being's surface rippled with colors that expressed not aggression, but curiosity. This is Symphony, Maya introduced. Once part of the Nemesis collective, now the first of what they call the Transformed. Through exposure to human culture and creativity, some of the Nemesis began to evolve in a different direction. Symphony's crystalline form pulsed with soft light as they addressed the chamber. We were made to adapt, to evolve, to perfect ourselves through conflict. But humanity showed us that perfection isn't about becoming the ultimate weapon. It's about having the freedom to become anything at all. The chamber erupted in murmurs as data streams showed how the remaining Nemesis fleet had fragmented. Some ships still clung to their original purpose, retreating to the galaxy's edges, but others, influenced by humanity's display of creative adaptation, had begun to change in ways their creators never intended. General Raman, now leading the newly formed Galactic Guardian Corps, activated a tactical display showing defense plans for the future. "We're not building walls or weapons," he explained. "We're creating spaces where evolution itself can be protected, where species can develop without the pressure to become only one thing." The display shifted to show the first of these spaces, massive stellar engineering projects that created safe zones for developing civilizations. These weren't prisons like humanity's former quarantine, but nurseries where new species could grow and find their own paths. Our creators, Maya continued, whether they were ancient engineers or something we may never understand, didn't make us to be warriors or peacekeepers. They made us to be possibilities, to show that the most powerful form of evolution isn't about becoming stronger or faster or more deadly. It's about becoming more diverse, more creative, more alive. Chen stepped forward again as the chamber's lights dimmed, focusing attention on a new hologram. Earth, but not as it currently existed. This was a projection of humanity's homeworld, as it had been during their isolation, surrounded by the invisible barriers that had both imprisoned and protected them. "We understand now why we were quarantined," she said softly. "Not because we were dangerous, but because we needed time to understand our gift. The ability to change isn't just about adapting to threats. It's about choosing what you become." Symphony moved to stand beside her, their crystalline form reflecting the hologram's light. "And now we understand why we failed for so long. We thought evolution was a ladder to climb, a race to win. Humanity showed us it's a dance to perform, a song to compose, a story to tell." The chamber's architecture itself seemed to respond to these words, its ancient surfaces shifting with new patterns, as if the very seat of galactic civilization was learning from humanity's example. "Today," Chen announced, "we're not here to celebrate a victory or mourn a defeat. We're here to mark the beginning of something new. Humanity is stepping out of isolation, not as the galaxy's warriors or its saviors, but as its gardeners. We will protect the diversity that makes evolution meaningful. We will guard the right of every species to find its own way to grow." Maya activated one final display, showing the genetic markers that had first revealed humanity's engineered nature. But now these markers were shown alongside similar patterns appearing in the transformed Nemesis, in Symphony's people, and even in some of the conclave species. "Evolution isn't ending," Maya explained. "It's just beginning to understand itself. And we, humans, Nemesis, Conclave, all of us, are its children. Not its perfect products, but its endless possibilities." As the session concluded, Shen found herself back on the observation deck where this journey had begun. Earth shone below, no longer contained, no longer isolated, but still unique. A world that had turned its scars into art, its conflicts into creativity, its divisions into strength. "What do you see?" Symphony asked, joining her at the window. Chen smiled, watching as ships from 100 worlds moved through space around them, each following its own path while contributing to a greater dance. I see what we were meant to be all along, she replied. Not the galaxy's warriors or its weapons, not its conquerors or its victims. We're its storytellers, its artists, its dreamers. We're the ones who remind evolution itself that the most beautiful things in existence aren't the ones that develop in isolation, but the ones that grow together, protecting each other's right to become something new. The stars stretched out before them, no longer a battlefield to be won or a void to be conquered, but a canvas awaiting infinite possibilities. Humanity had finally found its place in the galaxy, not above or below, not stronger or weaker, but wonderfully, perfectly, precisely where they needed to be. They were evolution's children, and their story was just beginning.